Welcome to Faith and Freedom. For the next few minutes, we hope to inform, inspire, and encourage you as we discuss the legal victories and challenges to your fundamental freedoms and religious liberties. Faith and Freedom comes to you from Liberty Counsel, a civil liberties education and legal defense organization. Join us now as Matt Staver, the President and General Counsel of Liberty Counsel, explains the latest legal issues all across this country in the courtrooms of America. Liberty Counsel is winning the battle for your constitutional freedoms.
3 Iowa Supreme Court judges who invented a so-called constitutional right to same-sex marriage have been given the pink slip. I'm Matt Barber, Director of Cultural Affairs with Liberty Counsel and Associate Dean with Liberty University School of Law, in for Matt Staver today. And joining me once again in studio is Rena Lindevaldsen, Professor of Law with Liberty School of Law and Special Counsel with Liberty Counsel. Well, Rena, on this issue of same-sex marriage, 31 states have voted on whether or not to amend their constitution, their state constitution, to protect and reaffirm the historical definition of marriage as between one man and one woman. 31 states have done so. 45 states in the union have, I believe that's the number, have laws on the books protecting the institution of natural marriage against radical redefinition. In almost every instance where same-sex marriage has been imposed on the people of a given state, it has been through judicial fiat. One of the most shocking instances was in Iowa, right in the heartland of America, where it's not known as a liberal bastion, and certainly, or rather a conservative, it is a conservative area, not known as a liberal bastion, and certainly it came as a shock to the people of Iowa when the Iowa Supreme Court somehow divined out of thin air a constitutional right for a man to marry a man or a woman to marry a woman, something that obviously the framers of the Iowa Constitution could not have even conceptualized. Well, in Iowa, judges come up for retention vote periodically, and the 3 justices that were on the ballot for retention this time around, who voted to redefine marriage in the state of Iowa for the first time in history, have been given the pink slip. Clearly, the people of Iowa have said, no, we do not accept this type of radical left-wing judicial activism in our state.
Well, what I think is kind of interesting about that is the Iowa Supreme Court in 2009, when it declared unconstitutional the definition of marriage as one man and one woman, actually had a footnote in that opinion that said same-sex relationships are just as wholesome as opposite-sex married relationships. And so I'd like to think that the good people of Iowa let these judges know that with their view of what is wholesome and what is right, understanding that God's design for marriage is what is wholesome and correct, not what their view was.
Well, and that brings up a great point, Rena. There has been this approach. There are kind of competing, even on the pro-family side of this issue, there are kind of competing strategies. On one side, we have the tough approach, the speak truth in love, period approach. That's an approach we at Liberty Counsel certainly take and push forward with on a daily basis. Then there's this kind of a more a soft approach, kind of well, this really has nothing to do with homosexuality. This is all about just circling the wagons around the word marriage, protecting the word marriage. Obviously, this is central to this issue, is the issue of homosexual behavior. So we can't address the notion of the oxymoronic notion of same-sex marriage without addressing what is central to that, and that is homosexual behavior that every major world religion, thousands of years of history, and uncompromising human biology have coldly rejected. This is, I think, the people of Iowa recognizing that this is about the destructive behavior, homosexual behavior, and it's about protecting marriage. It's a combination of those things. Can you address a little bit these competing approaches?
Absolutely. First, on the competing approaches, I think about it this way. The Bible is really clear about what God says about marriage, first of all. It's one man and one woman. He designed it that way, and that's his plan. As the creator God who created us, That's what he's told us is good. Secondly, he's pretty clear on sexual relationships. Anything outside the context of marriage is sin. So as a Christian, there's only one way to look at this issue as far as what do I legalize and what's okay. I can't legalize same-sex marriage. I can't legalize any kind of fornication and call it good. And that's what civil unions do, domestic relationships. So when you start compromising, saying, I'm going to allow for civil unions, I'm going to allow for domestic partnerships, it's sin. I don't have authority as a Christian to say that, God, what you said is wrong or to doubt it. And so, first of all, from a policy perspective, I've only got one choice here. But what it does is it tells society, tells our youth in particular, as they're growing up, questioning their sexuality, who are they going to be in self-identity, that this is okay. And what we know is not okay is this is a lifestyle, first of all, that people get involved in that's dangerous and destructive psychologically, emotionally, physically. There are medical consequences to this behavior. And to tell our youth and the next generation that it's healthy and okay, to me, it should be legally actionable. And certainly we should hold people accountable for doing that.
Well, imagine, in the schools, we have across the country, through GLSEN, the Gay, Lesbian, Straight Education Network, pushing their agenda in concert with the National Education Association, providing curriculum to schools across the country that literally indoctrinate children into the homosexual lifestyle. Tell, hey, how do you know you're not gay if you haven't experimented with it a little bit? Take that and consider the fact that the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, has recently come out with a study that says 1 in 5 men who engage in the homosexual lifestyle get AIDS.
Yeah.
That is mind-boggling.
Yeah, and it's not Matt Barber, and it's not Rena Lindevaldsen, it's not Liberty Counsel saying this stuff. You can read the CDC, which certainly is not a conservative bastion, and homosexual publications warning those involved in same-sex relationships, both men and women, of the risks that are unique to same-sex relationships.
I was looking at a homosexual news website the other day, and you know how you get the page that flashes up? It says, skip this ad if you want to. When I went to this page, it's one of the most read homosexual publications on the internet. The page that pops up is need AIDS treatment, call this number. That is so telling that you're going to a homosexual website and the first ad that pops up is for AIDS treatment. That speaks volumes. Well, another study came out, Rena, recently from the University of Kansas, which has kind of filed it under, indicating that kids who are raised in homosexual households on this issue of same-sex marriage are at about a 12 times as likely, up to 12 times as likely to identify as homosexual themselves. Does that come as any surprise?
It shouldn't. I mean, if you have children, you know that what you model is what you're probably going to expect your children to grow up to do and be, which is why it's very important what you model. So it's not surprising that if you were raised in a home that challenges what are proper norms for sexual relationships, they're going to think it's okay to engage in those relationships. They're going to be more likely to experiment with them, which is what the studies are showing, and more likely to possibly identify themselves as homosexual, because it's not gene-based. It is based on your environment, what you're raised in, what you're exposed to, play the predominant factor in determining whether you'll identify one day as homosexual.
Well, this soft approach we're talking about has failed. We see in California with the Proposition 8 decision, the Schwarzenegger case with Judge Von Walker, media reports report that he himself identifies as homosexual. He came in, did his damage, and then I would say cowardly, has now retired, done his damage, left a mess for the Ninth Circuit and the United States Supreme Court to clean up. But the soft approach that the attorneys defending Prop 8 took, there's this capitulating to the dictates of political correctness so that you won't be accused of being a hater or a homophobe. That never works. It is all about speaking truth in love, not just from a spiritual sense, but also from a legal strategy and a political strategy, isn't it?
Yeah, the Prop 8 defense and other litigation that's taken place has been based on marriage is good because it always has been this way. No, marriage is good because God says it. Marriage is good because all the studies will show you that marriage between one man and one woman is important for civilization to continue. Marriage is good because that's how you raise children and model male and female behavior for them. Marriage is good not just because people say it has been this way all the way. And we've got to be strong in that, but the love part's important.
Yeah.
We don't hate homosexuals. homosexuals, we realize that just like anybody trapped in any other sin, they're blinded to their sinful conduct. And we have to show Christ to them. We have to show them the love, but we got to do it in truth and telling them what they're doing is wrong, not right.
That's it, folks. If this topic of conversation comes up, remember, speak truth in love. Do it fearlessly, because what you perceive as love without truth is hate. That is the least compassionate thing you can do, is help to facilitate or encourage someone to engage in this destructive behavior. To learn more about what we're doing at Liberty Counsel to protect the institution of marriage, go to lc.org or give us a call at 1-800-671-1776. Also, ask for a book by Matt Staver, Same-Sex Marriage, Putting Every Household at Risk. This will help equip you to answer the questions that come up in these types of conversations. Go to lc.org or give us a call, 1-800-671-1776.
You have been listening to Matt Staver of Liberty Counsel. Our hope is to encourage and inspire you to stand up for your faith, family, and freedoms. We can accomplish a lot when we work together. Get informed and get involved today. Sign up for our free monthly newsletter, The Liberator. We will send it out to you free of charge. Stay informed with our Liberty Alert email update. Just click on the website at www.lc.org or call us at 1-800-671-1776. Tune in next time to learn more about your rights right here on Faith and Freedom.